Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis, and it's time for Talking Comics. I'm going to talk some comics. These are comics for the week of February 5th, 2025, in no particular order. Going to talk some books. First up, we'll talk Hello Darkness. This is issue number 7. They decided with this issue, because of when the release date was going to be, that they would make it a love themed issue. It hasn't been themed up to this point. I still think they should have went with it not being themed. It was all right. There's nothing particularly special in this one. I didn't really feel like. There is one funny panel from Hack, the creator Hack. He does these like one panel cartoons, and it's this couple making out, and she is thinking something along the lines of he tastes like county fair goldfish. So that was funny. But nothing else really stood out as being exceptional or that particularly interesting, art-wise or story-wise, as far as any of the stuff that was in it. Most of these I feel like have been kind of hits, but this one was definitely on the miss side of things. Next up, we have Green Arrow, issue number 20, or if you're into the legacy number 253. I really enjoy this issue. I'm really liking Green Arrow. I like the take on the character and stuff. I think Condon's writing an interesting traditional Green Arrow, kind of a story, going after the corporations and that sort of stuff, and the fat cats and that. The art by Montos and Lucas. There is paneling and design work in it that I really, really like. I like some of the angles they choose to use. They use some interesting, not necessarily conventional, kind of some, strange worm eye view or bird's eye view kind of angles for stuff instead of keeping stuff traditionally boring. There's some elements in here that I feel like it's like hearkening to something else, and I don't know. I haven't exactly placed what that is. I guess that's the disadvantage of having 40 years of reading comics under your belt. After a while, it starts to feel like you can't, it starts to place together. This is towards the end. I still find the whole tank thing that the bow and string makes is amusing. I don't know that I'm into that, but like I said, the end credits and stuff of the book, I really like. It just feels like it harkens to something, and I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure what that is. But as a whole, I really like. I really like the art. There's occasional moments where something unconventional isn't the right word I want to use for it, because there's nothing wrong with unconventional. It sometimes little aspects break down still, and I don't know if it's just a new creator. It's somebody who's still learning stuff. But I'm okay with that. Because like I said, as a whole, it's interesting, and I'm thoroughly enjoying Green Arrow, and I'm happy to be enjoying Green Arrow because I like the character Green Arrow, and this Green Arrow is getting closer back to the old Ollie, pre New 52. I don't know that it'll ever actually really be there. They'd have to kind of make the guy older than what he is, and I'm not sure they're really willing to do that, because then that would imply that so much more of the universe is older, and older is never good when it comes to the superhero game, I don't think. Which is interesting, because I don't know how many young people read superhero books anymore versus us older people, but anyway, I'm enjoying it. Next up, we have the Book of Cutter. So it's super thick. It's square bound. It's got some sequential art in it, and then it'll have some prose, then it has sequential art in it, and it has some prose and sequential art back and forth, and the back of it is a process. Was it worth the $10? I don't know about that. It fills us in a little more on the bigger picture of the House of St. George, the whole kit caboodle that's running this whole hunt down the monsters the imaginary monsters that are real and dangerous, um, how the political machine of that works, and some of those major players and whatnot is interesting. It's got some interesting stuff in it, some good stuff. I enjoyed it. Not necessarily necessary. I don't know if you're not wanting to chuck basically $10 at it. But like I said, I did like it. It had some interesting stuff in there. Some more of this, the bigger world, because the bigger world picture is really interesting. What I saw on Blue Sky a couple days ago, somebody was showing a little bit of issue 30 of the House of Slaughter, which is the main like side book to Something's Killing the Children. And in it, in that little article thing there, they kind of imply that issue 30 is the last of that. Like, there's no more. I mean, I asked some questions and nobody replied back to me, but so I just don't know. Is the universe ending? I can see where all these books are ending because, just the level of serious stuff that is implied. They'd have to completely change characters for some of this stuff. I mean, the House of Slaughter, I think, could go on unless the whole house is going to collapse. I think that book could go on, for however long they chose to tell those stories. But maybe that's what that means, is the House of Slaughter is going to collapse and Erica's house is going to collapse. And I just don't know. I question whether or not Erica survives. Nothing kills the children ultimately, but I guess we'll find that out, right? Like I said, I haven't seen within creators that it's ending. It just got the kind of impression, and I could see just reading the story where it's at. Anyway, book cutter. It was decent. Thankfully it had sequential art in it. It probably had 20 plus pages or more of sequential art in it, mixed in with the stuff. Some of their other books that have been kind of informative of the world have had 2 pages of sequential art and then just be a bunch of prose. And I'm not here to read novels. I'm here to read comics. So next up we have Kaya. This is issue number 25. It says it's a standalone issue. Originally, these standalone issues were going to be their own separate thing. You weren't going to see them in trades. So if you weren't buying them in singles, you're going to miss out on those. They've since walked that back and said, "Oh, these are too good of stories. We're gonna put them in." So you shouldn't be missing any of that kind of stuff. Sometimes these standalone issues are really interesting, though. It fills in some other piece of something, some other piece of the universe, or gives us a future look at something. This one I found really interesting because it's mostly centered around the mutants. The first successful people to really snatch up Jin in the stories, and it's them trying to recover from that, recover from the robots, and hopefully get Jin back and get themselves in power and whatnot. But it gives us a history of what went down that's kind of devastated this world, because most of the worlds and most of the places seem to be, they're living in ruins of sorts. It seems like a lot of it. So we get some really interesting history into into this world that it looks like humans, basically kind of called down the gods of sorts and wrecked a bunch of stuff. And the mutants were the first people to basically arrive after that and be somewhat successful in their stuff, is what's implied in this issue. I found all that interesting. And then they kind of monkey with the bringing of the gods down currently. So I don't know how that's going to play in the rest of the book, or if it will, because the one shot's not supposed to, my understanding is effectively this would not, it informs us more, but wouldn't be a deterrent if we didn't get it. But I think at this point you kind of would need to. But it's interesting. Gives us another piece of history that we wouldn't get just riding with Kaya and Jin. So great stuff as always. Exciting, action-packed, adventure type comic. I just can't recommend it enough. It is just a book to get. It is just really, really fun. Next up, we have Batgirl, issue number 4. It's interesting how come the Batgirl book, they don't put a legacy number on it. I wonder why. So we get more conversation with Batgirl's mom and kind of the bigger workings and the bigger threat that's involved here. I continue to enjoy the story, the way they tell Cassandra Cain's her her interpretation of the world around her. I enjoy those aspects. I enjoy her juggling her mom and all of her mom represents, and her, basically her dad, as she refers to Batman, and how he operates, and what would these people do, and that sort of stuff, and some more enemies get introduced in this that. Are they her friends? Probably not, but she may have to work with them for a time. Just some really good stuff. I'm enjoying it just as a Batgirl Cassandra Cain adventure. It's been a joy to read. Not necessarily moves the earth or anything like that, but if you have any affinity or like for Cassandra Cain Batgirl, I would believe that this is a comic book for you. It's been some good stuff. Next up, we have Galaxy of Madness, issue number 6. Here from Mad Cave Studios, we start the new artist on the book. It had been Michael Avon Oeming doing it. He's the one that does the cover here. So you see the characters there. The new artist on the book is Victor Santos. He has his own style. I'll be honest with you. I'm not familiar with Victor Santos's work. This is my first exposure to it, so I don't know if he's trying to mirror, in some sense, Michael Avon Oeming's art, or doing his own thing, but obviously keeping the characters as the characters. So this is one of our characters here. That's his art. But it's similar. It's definitely different. I mean, a lot of these characters, it's quickly you know who they are. I think that our main character here, she looks younger and a little different. Most of the other people look enough on to like Michael Avon Oeming's work. The paneling is somewhat like that. It's got a big, heavy, thick shadowed lines and whatnot, so it works in that sense as far as just a general. It's not too disruptive going from one artist to another artist, because the last of these issues will all be by this other artist. For whatever reason, I'm not sure, but I like this art. It has some of the same, other than maybe not quite as fancy panel work, it has some of the same flair and style that Michael Avon Oeming does, and I enjoy his stuff quite a bit. So I did enjoy this as far as the art goes. The story is awesome. We're talking angelic levels of math speak in it, and dimension folding, and they come to a place where time is spewing out of a rift, and in the process of that, it exposes them to all the possibilities. And so there's multi-versions of a lot of these characters, which are just awesome. Some of them are hilarious. Amongst the chaos that's going on in this, and the heavy accusations that aren't just accusations, they get proved. That some people murdered some people, and there's going to be consequences. One of the things awesome is they tap into the wave that's coming in, and it's like sitcoms. That's my Mongol, right? So this panel here is them. It's like some sort of sitcom where this lady's like, I just cleaned the floor, and Genghis Khan is coming in with a severed head. Laughs ensue. The next one, this is a version of X-Files, except they're skeletons, and one of them is saying, when will you accept there's no such thing as unicorns? And the other one says, unicorns kidnapped my sister, Scully. There's just some fun stuff, just some hilarious TV shows they clip into really quick there. Magdalene Visigotti. Yeah, I'm killing it. Woo! There's no D in there. I really like her work. This is great. It's just got some great space opera and some, like I said, the bonker math stuff in it is great. I love reality bending kind of things and whatnot. The art is changing artist was to no disadvantage. Still just really great stuff. Really fun. Looking forward to it's 12 issues, so we've got 6 more. I am looking forward to those 6 more issues. Because it has been a blast up until this point. So looking forward to checking out the rest of that. Then we have Birds of Prey, issue number 18. Another book. Why doesn't it have a legacy number on it? Just out of curiosity. So this is I think this is like a two-shot story in between arcs, I believe. This is the first issue of that. They changed cover artists. Anyway, Clay Thompson writing it. Cabal is doing art on it. Lucas on colors, I think. This was a fun issue. It had some really cool stuff go on it. So the team kind of gets separated. Somebody's coming after Sin. So Black Canary and Sin go off on a retreat vacation girls weekend to lure out the people that are trying to kidnap her, so they can set a trap for them and catch them and do whatever they need to do to make this whole thing stop. So Sin doesn't have to keep living like she's being hunted all the time. And then our other two birds that are just always hanging around, besides Oracle, is Cassandra Cain Batgirl and Barda. They're like, well, okay, what are we doing? Because we're obviously we haven't been invited to the weekend thing. And they get called in to help John Constantine. John Constantine calls out the Birds of Prey, looking for some help. And he needs some help. And so Barda and Batgirl are going to help Constantine. Constantine is in charge of transporting a demon, and the demon's being transported inside of him. So the two ladies are going into another dimension and are moving this demon out to someplace for whatever reason. We're not really filled in that part. It largely becomes a big giant Barda beating up magical golems kind of thing. And what's awesome about it is, they jump down into this dimension to fight, and I love the panel work. She lands here, this crushing sound. It actually bends the panels and page, and then she starts fighting these golems. Check out. Oh, I'm having problems. Check out this. She uses the panel, the gutter, as a bar to swing around and slam into the stuff. She does a little bit of this kind of potential breaking of the fourth wall in this fight that was just a lot of super fun. She's punching from one panel to the next. Just some really awesome stuff. If you like Big Barda beating up stuff, you definitely get to see some of that, and it's a real hoot. Story's good. I'm curious. I think, like I said, next issue it'll all get tied up, I believe. But just fun. It's, it's filler issue. No, I guess whatever. Call it, if you want to call it that. It's still interesting. It's still moving the characters around to what they need to do and that sort of stuff. There's some moments in here also that are awesome. It's got Barda and Cassandra Cain playing video games, and Cassandra is beating Barda, and Barda is yelling, "There's no way you can you can read my body movement in a video game." And Cassandra's like, "Clearly I can." So there's some fun stuff all around in there. Okay, next up we have the Sacrificers, issue number 14. Rick Remender, Max Furama's back on the book. Dave Craig coloring as always. No Light Beyond, part 1 of 4. Excellent issue. Has some narrative discussion on trust and who can you trust and why do we make those choices to trust, which I enjoyed. It's all Pigeon and Saluna, right? Isn't her name Saluna? The daughter of the moon and the sun. She finally figures out, she gets told basically that she's a monster, and she figures out what that is. So we're trying to figure out how to deal with that. But they are locked up in a place where, everything's fun and great because they're going to send you off to be sacrificed. And she knows what that means. So she keeps her pigeon friend safe from all of that. But at the same time, our pigeon friend here has to make choices. How far do I trust this woman who has this evil, monstrous thing in her? Which is some good storytelling and some fun stuff in there. Enjoyed as always the art. I'm a huge fan of Max and Sebastian both. Own some of their artwork, some of their original work. because they're just really, really good, really interesting. They have their own style, and I dig it. Those Argentinian, I believe, guys. Anyway, good stuff. Looking forward to seeing where this arc takes us, and just what's going forward. Because I mean, for me, the pigeon, the brother, that part of the story seems pretty straightforward and driven. The rest of this is it could go anywhere and do anything, and I'm digging that. I enjoy that quite a bit. Alrighty, next up we have Two Face, issue 3, written by Christian Ward, Vergas, and Placina on art. I continue to really enjoy this. I love this story. It's a story about Two Face. It's about Dent trying to lock away Two Face in like a mental prison while he tries to hold it together to prove that he is a good citizen and maybe he can get out of the Two Face shadow and get reintegrated into society and have a job in prosecution and that sort of stuff. So in that hopes, he continues to try and run this this courtroom for the underworld that's coming apart. There's some shadow fist or hand that's messing with him. By the end of the issue, in this issue, he's having problems. He's having problems keeping together. Two-Face is doing a really good job of pounding on the mental prison that he's in, and the walls are weakening, and Harvey Dent is struggling in the real world to kind of keep it together. He keeps slipping into his meaner self and stuff. And Cantwell, his new sidekick, is kind of like boss, kind of trying to keep him in line and questioning some of the stuff that he's doing and whatnot. By the end of the issue, it gets exposed as to who the bad guy is, and I love it. I kind of thought I knew what was coming, and I love it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what else they do with it. Christian Ward clearly really loves the Two-Face character and is having a great time going all in on this story. And I'm a big Two-Face fan too. Probably my favorite Batman Rogues Gallery character. So really, really enjoying it. Having lots of fun with it. So I think it's 5 issues, I want to say. So a few more issues and it's done, but it's been enjoyable. And then lastly, we have Poison Ivy issue number 30. Yeah, so I didn't realize I was looking at this book as I picked up to read it. I read it this morning, and I'm like, oh yeah, I like that cover, and oh, here's the, it's, oh, it's a person, is that Janet? Is that Janet from HR? Because I like Janet from HR. She's like the side character. There's a big chunk of the story in here that is about that and about the fact that she doesn't want to be the victim in the horror movie. She doesn't want to be the forgettable person. She doesn't want to be the sidekick. She doesn't want to be, she's just forgotten. She's forgotten all the time, and until Ivy needs something, a cup of coffee, or she's bored and needs a lover, or whatever the case may be. And so I really, that was a good story, and it's going to play into kind of the political and aspects that are coming in this book, I think, and the whole, who do you trust or whatever. And I noticed that as reading this and I'm closing it up. Oh, look at that! It's Janet from HR on the other side, with a Poison Ivy there. She's the background stuff. Raven's here. Crocodile's mouth is closed. On this one, it's dragonflies. The crocodile mouth is open. Anyway, it's a flip book. So you get halfway through the story. You get this half with wonderful art in the book of Poison Ivy dealing with the after effects of having been attacked. And then she wanders into the forest to try and protect herself, and then ends up having a conversation with the Gray, with the only ever avatar of the Gray, this big hulking thing that we've seen before. some interesting stuff goes on. There deals with the gray and the green and the Parliament of Trees, and the gray wants to like come to some sort of an agreement with the green. Let's leave each other alone. We need to deal with the fact the planet's going to be killed. We should really get rid of the humans, kind of a deal. And they want Poison Ivy to be that embassy, to be the person that talks between them, because she can talk to everybody, because of her connection to the mushrooms when she was doing the mushroom stuff at the beginning of this series. All interesting. And then, like I said, and this whole Janet from HR part is her, going out, trying to figure out some stuff for herself. The level of frustration she has of being this forgettable character. I've never forgot her. I like her quite a bit. But how she feels that way. And then she gets approached by somebody from the Parliament of Trees, who is partially responsible for helping bring Poison Ivy back. And she is given we'll give you your heart's desire. Just basically take this acorn with you, and anytime she's talking about us, you whisper into the acorn what it is she's saying, and we'll give you your heart's desire. And Janet is back and forth on, I don't rat my friends out, but at the same time, she's super frustrated with Ivy in the position she's in. So we'll see what happens. And the book is written really well because it's written from both directions as you're going along. So Poison Ivy's wandering through the woods, kind of struggling, and she literally runs into Janet from HR. And if you're reading it from the other direction, literally Janet from HR runs into Poison Ivy. Great stuff. Really good book. I'm really excited about the Parliament of Trees stuff. Like I said, not quite as heavy as that one shot with Swamp Thing, but clearly G. Willow Wilson is moving more of that into the next part of the story. So that's a whole nother aspect that I'm really curious about, where that's going to play out. How's she going to resolve the eco-terrorist stuff that she hasn't really squared away? And then, of course, there's this whole town that's in this swamp that's potentially its own sort of a thing. And then you have this new conversation that's going to be being had between the gray and the green, and Poison Ivy being that in-between role. Green's not exactly happy with her because she's too human and is making human choices instead of green choices. And she is literally the only thing that the gray can talk to, because it talks through mushrooms. And so nothing else functions with that. So great stuff. Really, really enjoyed this book and this issue. Made me very excited for whatever is going to come next from the Poison Ivy world. Anyway, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.